Welcome to today's episode of You Can Cook. And you can, I promise. Especially when you're using your Vita-mix at home. The whole point with this machine is it is so easy. And that's what we'd like to show you today. So I'm going to be doing the orange sorbet recipe. And this is an awesome recipe. It's so easy to make at home. It's so refreshing, great in the summertime. And if you're having some friends over, this is a crowd pleaser. It's healthy, it's delicious, and it takes, well, with the prep time, only about 2 minutes. The actual making time, once you start blending, is about 45 seconds max. So this is really, really fast. Let me show you. Now you have a few different options here. We are going to start out with our orange. We'll throw this in. I'm just going to take the skin off the orange. Now you can do this where you peel it and make it look, nice and pretty as you're peeling. Or if you can't do this, just set it down and shave it like this on your cutting board. Let me get these out of the way for a second, just so that you can see it easily here. So I'm just going to take this and shave like that, right down the sides. Now, sometimes when we're using the orange, we want to preserve the white pith, and that's because that's where the majority of the vitamin C and the calcium are in the orange. The seeds are great too inside there, so use those in your recipes when you can. The pith is the most nutrient-dense part though, so it's really great. If you can include that white pith in your recipes, it's so good for you. This one is a dessert, so it's not so important. We just want to take the majority of the dark orange part off, and that's because that's really bitter. Now, I'm using the Vitamix Pro 750 for this one. You can do this recipe in any Vitamix machine, as I say. There's not really anything else out there that's going to be able to do this for you, so I do recommend using one of these. Now, I've used the 63, I've used the 5200, I've used all of the different machines to make this recipe, and actually with the wider containers it is a little bit harder, so it's up to you whichever one you want to do. Now we have a few pieces of carrot here that I'm tossing in. The carrot, that's just half of a medium carrot, so I just broke off the end of it there. I'm just using a little bit of this because that's natural food coloring, so it's going to turn this bright orange. Now this is just a little dehydrated cane sugar, natural sugar here, organic. You can use whatever sweetener you want, and sometimes we actually use the agave nectar or maple for this recipe. And if you're using the agave, you just want about a quarter cup of the agave. For this one, I want just a little bit of sugar here. So I'll start with about 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon. And then we just need a little bit of liquid here. The liquid is going to help everything move. You could, of course, use some grapes or just another orange. I'm going to use just a little bit of water. So I'm going to pour just about a quarter cup of water in here. So we don't need very much. The only other ingredient is ice, ladies and gentlemen. So let's toss this in here. Got it. And this is just, some big chunks of ice from my freezer that I'm using. Well, I'm actually using the ice trays for these. So this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's about 12 to 13 cubes of ice. Now, worst case scenario, it doesn't freeze up enough. It's still delicious. And you can always freeze this in your ice cube tray and use it to make other frozen desserts later. So just depends on what you're after. Now with this, we can either use our frozen dessert setting if you have those settings on it, or you can just turn it up to high, like that. And since most people have the 1 through 10, I'll show you this. Now it's going to get very loud. I'm going to fast forward through the blending of this. It takes about 45 seconds. And that's what you'll get if you use that frozen dessert setting. It's totally up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Now watch this. Use your tamper stick. Take the little lid plug out. You can do this with the ice cream before you start blending and put this right inside, or you can just leave it on, wait till you start. Once we start, you're not going to be able to hear me though, so I just wanted to try and tell you all of this before we get going. All right, let's blend this up, and when we come back, we'll have a frozen dessert, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Oh. help if I turn it on. This is one of the new features with the machines, is they have an on-off switch here. It's just a safety feature. Turn this on. Ta-da! That's all it takes. Now, we have a nice texture inside here, as you see there. Now, if you're really confident, you can do the freeze test. And you see that it is frozen. It can come out in one big piece, so be careful when you do that. But look at that. It's frozen right inside the container. I can hear it when I do that. So it does have a little air bubble in there. Now, let's taste it. Let's see how we did. That is a nice frozen texture there. It's really refreshing. Has a lot of the natural orange flavor. I'd actually use a little bit more sugar though, if you like it really sweet. So instead of 1 tablespoon, which was 3 teaspoons, use 2 tablespoons for this recipe. Or like I said, a 1/4 cup of agave works too, but oh, this is really good. And it's going to depend on what kind of oranges you have too. Some oranges are going to be sweeter than others. So adjust to whatever flavor you like, ladies and gentlemen. But that, right there, that's orange sorbet in 45 seconds. It's pretty awesome. Enjoy. I gotta get some more of this. This is great.